Chapter 19, Sustainable Use of Natural Resources. Natural resources are the substances generated naturally without the influence of human activities. There are some basic natural resources: water, minerals and rocks, plants, and timber. Sustainable utilization of natural resources. The conservation of natural resources for the future generation while we are using natural resources today is known as sustainable utilization of natural resources. Here are some substances that are used in our day-to-day life and the natural resources that are used to make them. Water is the base of life on earth. Man cannot live without air or water. Therefore, the second most important resource on earth is water. When finding life on other planets, scientists find whether there is water on them. Water is sustainably used in our past, and water or tanks constructed by our ancient kings is a very good example for this. Rainwater was conserved without any wastage in our dry zones for agriculture. The purest form of water is rainwater, but due to air pollution, rainwater is no longer pure. But in countries like Sri Lanka and Maldives, rainwater collection in domestic level takes place and it is utilized for day-to-day activity. In dry zones, clay pots filled with water are buried near the plants. This brings economical advantage to agriculture, and also this is an excellent method of conserving water. Due to extensive environmental pollution taking place, scientists forecast that pure water will not be available for the people in the world in near future. Therefore, recycling and reusing of water is very important. Minerals and rocks. A mineral is an inorganic solid substance with a definite chemical composition having a crystalline shape. What is the meaning of having crystalline shape? It means that it has an organized structure. Rocks, a collection of minerals. Examples, gneiss and granite that are found in our environment. But some rocks are made up of a single mineral. Example, limestone and quartz. And here are some useful minerals found in Sri Lanka: graphite, quartz, zircon, silica sand, ilmenite, rutile, feldspar, and apatite. These minerals are used in our industry. Sri Lanka is a country rich in minerals, but we do not make the maximum use of our minerals. Sri Lanka exports most of its minerals as raw materials. But if these raw materials are value added and utilized to manufacture valuable end products, they can be exported to gain a higher economical value. The map displays the location of minerals in Sri Lanka. Gems are a sort of mineral crystals which are used in making jewelry after cutting and polishing. They are a very valuable type of mineral found in Sri Lanka. The gem industry in Sri Lanka has a history of more than 2,500 years. There are more than 200 kinds of gems identified in the world, and 70 types out of them are found in our small island. The blue sapphire is named as the national gem of Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka is the only country that exports high-quality large blue sapphires with natural color to the world market. The engagement ring of the Duchess of Cambridge, Kate Middleton, is made up of a sapphire from Sri Lanka. Assignment 1. Name 5 types of gems found in Sri Lanka. How are gems formed? Gems are formed in the earth attached to large rocks. As the rocks in the mountains get eroded, gems detach from them. Those gems then are carried away with rainwater and are buried in plains of downhill. The deposit of gems and other pieces of rocks is known as the vein or illum. The gravel containing gems are known as ilium, and that is why places where gems and other pieces of rocks are found are known as illum. Gem mining. First, a proposed place for gems is selected and the mine, which is like a pit, is dug. And this pit is constructed using timber. When the vein or ilmenite is found, horizontal tunnels are excavated. Mixtures of substances collected from the vein is taken out of the mine, and then inside a water body, separation of the gems takes place using a separation process known as sifting. There are certain characteristics of gems that makes it very special. Hardness, resistance to be worn out, color, and high refractive index. Now let's look into each of these characteristics. The hardness of minerals is compared by a scale known as Mohs scale. The hardest mineral, which is diamond, is assigned the hardness index of 10, whereas the least hard mineral, talc, is given the hardness index of 1. So here are some substances with their hardness indices. Based on this hardness index, diamond, which is the hardest mineral, is used to cut glass, which is a less hard substance. And also, an unerasable streak can be drawn on a sheet of glass using a piece of quartz, as the hardness of quartz is also very high. Corundum is a very compact and dense mineral. It is the second hardest mineral next to diamond. And there are certain gems that belong to this corundum family: blue sapphire, ruby, topaz, and yellow sapphire. Based on the hardness indices, answer these two questions. Resistance to be worn out. As you all know, most of the materials that we use, from metals to polymers, wear out with time. But gems do not wear out because of their hardness. And that is why gems are used as bearings in mechanical watches. Gems are found in earth in various colors. When gems are formed in earth, trace impurities or minor quantities of impurities are trapped inside them. And these impurities give the gem their characteristic color. Color is one characteristic that increases the value of gems. Therefore, this is a very rare instance where the amount of impurities in a mineral increases its value. Refractive index of gems is used to identify them scientifically. We have learnt about phenomena of refraction and reflection. Light rays, when they fall on certain surfaces, they reflect back. But when a light ray enters from one transparent medium to another transparent medium, its pathway changes at the interface. If you look at this figure, a light ray entering from air medium enters the diamond crystal and its pathway is changed. Refractive index is a measurement of this change of pathway of a light ray. Here are some refractive indices of certain substances. As you can see, diamond has a refractive index of 2.4, and this refractive index is specific for each substance. As you all know, gems shine. Why does this happen? This is because of their high refractive index. Light rays that fall on these gem surfaces will repeatedly reflect back, and because of this, gems shine. Although gems are beautiful and attractive and very valuable, many problems have arisen because of the gem industry. Now let's look into some environmental problems associated with gem mining. Soil erosion because of irregular mining. Since gem sifting takes place in water bodies, mud deposition and water pollution in streams and water bodies. Sudden depression of land and landslides occur due to over-mining in some areas. Extinction of fauna and forest cover depletion due to mining in forest areas. Reduction of crop production, as most of gem mining is done in paddy fields. Collapsing of riverbanks due to mining near riverbanks. Spreading of some diseases like dengue because of the breeding of mosquitoes in abandoned gem pits. Decreasing of the population of certain trees like coconut, rubber and bamboo because they are used in gem mines to construct pits and tunnels. Other than these environmental problems, various social problems have also arisen. Existence of social discrimination between owners and workers of gem mines because of the difference of their income levels. And since the gem mining industry does not take place uniformly throughout the year, absence of a permanent way of income for the laborers. Since in these areas, most of the youngsters are attracted towards the gem industry, they are not interested in education. So because of this, deterioration of educational status of relevant areas. The National Gem and Jewellery Authority has taken certain measures to solve some of these problems. And one such measure is when issuing permits for gem mining, a cash deposit has to be made. If gem pits are abandoned without filling, government will utilize the money deposited to fill the abandoned gem pits. Trees are a valuable natural resource that is used by man extensively. And some of the services rendered by plants to man are depicted in this figure. And some of these services come as benefits of materials, such as plants providing food. But some of these services are non-material benefits. So based on this figure, answer these two questions. Here are some specific plants which are used for certain activities and services. As you can see, various activities and services are rendered by plants, and for each activity and service, various plants can be used. There are many building materials used nowadays, such as synthetic polymers, metals, but the oldest building material is timber, and it is the only building materials that is recyclable and renewable. There are some special characteristics of timber: durability, resistance to heat, electricity and sound, ability of creating attractive patterns due to the streak and the color, and this can be observed in our wooden furniture. Sri Lanka was very famous for valuable timber. Timber like ebony, satinwood, and calamander wood, which were found in our dry zone, were extensively used by our British rulers. Therefore, these types of timber are very rare now. Because of this, the existing amount of timber should be used with maximum efficiency in order to use them in a sustainable manner. When selecting timber for various purposes, they have to be selected according to their durability. Diversity of timber in Sri Lanka is very high. We have more than 400 kinds of plants in our country that can be used as timber. And here are some specific uses of some types of timber and their special characteristics. Now, jack is a very common timber. It is special for its strength, durability and shine. Therefore, it is used to make doors. Persian lilac or lunumidella is used to make ceilings because it is very light. Horror timber is used to make underwater structures because it lasts long underwater. Decaying of timber. Fungi can grow inside the timber, and these timber are made up of complex carbohydrates. Therefore, fungi will secrete enzymes which act on these complex carbohydrates and degrade them. Thereby, the timber will decay. Fungi can retain inactively in this timber for many years. They grow only when the favorable conditions needed for their growth is present. For an example, oxygen, moisture, and nutrients. Out of these, the most important factor is moisture. Although other factors are available, fungi will not grow in the absence of moisture. And food is stored in some cells of tissues of timber. Therefore, timber can also be destroyed by insects such as termites and weevils who come in search of food. Prevention of timber from being decayed. Long-lasting types of timber were abundantly found in ancient Sri Lanka. So back then, timber preservation methods were not necessary. But Because of overusage, these long-lasting timbers are very rare now. For an example, timbers like ebony, nadun, and teak are now classified as luxurious types of timber. Therefore, people nowadays are compelled to use fast-growing types of timber such as rubber, Persian lilac, mango, alstonia, eucalyptus, and pinus. But these timbers do not last in the environmental conditions of our country. They are easily damaged by insects and fungi. Therefore, we have to use wood preservative method. There are two parts in a timber, namely hardwood and alburnum. Generally, the hardwood of a tree lasts longer than its alburnum. Therefore, hardwood of a tree should be used when making furniture to minimize them from decaying. Now let's look into the methods of preventing timber decay. Prevention of absorbing moisture into timber. By preventing the absorption of moisture, we can minimize the growth of fungi inside timber. And this can be done by applying enamel paint on them. Example, enamel paints are applied on school desks and chairs. Seasoning of timber. And this can be done by allowing timber to dry slowly in controlled conditions. Timber can be kept for a long time by reducing the moisture content below 20%. Seasoning of timber can be observed in carpenters' workshops. Usage of wood preservative. This can be done by soaking in suitable chemicals. One such chemical is creosote, which is extracted from coal. This chemical is used by State Timber Corporation when they are treating sleepers for railway lines and wooden electrical posts. And also boron can be used as a wood preservative, and this boron treatment is done for the long life of rubber and pinus timber. This can be done by soaking this timber in a mixture of boric acid, borax, and a fungicide.